Justin, great to have you back, mate. And this is going to be one of the first times that we get to talk where we're actually not going to mention two words, All and Blacks, because we're not playing. However, this weekend, there is three at least humongous games to have a good damn look at. And you're, of course, working for SuperSport. This South African-Ireland game, what a monster clash this weekend.
Oh, absolutely it is. Like it was always billed before the tournament as one of the games of the pool play, and no doubt everybody's eagerly anticipating this match. Certainly feel that it's two teams that are very capable of getting to a final and even winning a final that are going to go toe to toe at the Stade de France. It's going to be an absolute belter of a game, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out.
Look, and I was only just reminded yesterday because you kind of lose it while the tournament's going on that one of these teams could be out in the quarterfinals. On the other side, one of us in France, it could be out in the quarterfinals, but two of those four teams aren't going to make it. How do you approach this game if you are South Africa and Ireland? Do you go hell out in this game? Do you hold back? How do you do it?
Oh, I think you do. You've got to go at it full throttle, and I believe both sides will do that. I think Andy Farrell's very much shown in the two games already in pool play that he's quite prepared to put out most of his top players, and he's also shown that they've got good depth when they bring those reserves into the starting team. But certainly for this weekend, I believe that he will field his best teams. I certainly know, having been around the Springbok camp over the last 3 or 4 days and talking to the guys that I'm working with here at SuperSport, that they firmly believe South Africa will approach it in exactly the same way as well. So, yeah, I think you've got to make a statement. You've got to show everybody in this tournament that when the big matches come, you can go out there, you can flex your muscles, and you can win them. And I think that's really important for both teams' psyche.
South Africa are naming a 7-1 split again on the bench. I suppose what I'm trying to get at here is, do you hold something up your sleeve? Are there secrets? I suppose there's a backline move that you may not let go until a quarter or a semi-final, but essentially, test match rugby, Justin, how much can you hide or can't you?
I don't think you can, but we all know, and they know as well, South Africa, that is, of their DNA at Rugby World Cups. They don't tend to deviate too much from it. They know where their strengths are. Yes, we saw some innovation, some footwork, some skill at the weekend when they played Romania. But when it comes to these big matches, that they have a certain way that they play. It's like they played against the All Blacks at Twickenham. They're very confrontational. Their method defensively is aggressive, and they don't sort of gravitate too far away from what they know they can play the best rugby under, and that's a game plan that has proved to be successful at World Cup. So, yeah, I would imagine that's just them being them, and they'll know what they can do with their bomb squad when it comes off the bench as well, and that's a real plus for them. I think, Malcolm Marx is a massive loss for them.
Yeah.
He was probably playing the best rugby I've seen him play in years and years, and Umbanami is still a very, very good player, and he captained the side the other day, but Marx was in such good form. He's a bit of a blow.
Look, I also think, he's kind of an inspirational leader in that as well, isn't he? I mean, he's built like a bloody Sherman tank for a start. I mean, he looks so impressive when he comes on. Every time he hits a ruck against us, he seems to come away with the ball. But he's just one of those players, I reckon, that the rest of them will probably look to. Justin, in terms of Ireland, they've ticked every single box. They came down here. They beat us in a series. I mean, repeat that out loud. Nobody bloody does that. Then they clean up the Six Nations. Is this yet another test for them? Because I don't know why, mate, but it's still in the back of my mind are these nagging, lingering doubts. Can they produce this at a World Cup?
Yeah, and that's what everybody's saying, but the evidence is showing completely different. And in the last couple of years, they've beaten every team in the world, and they are number one team in the world right now, and ranked rightly so. And they've got depth, they've got experience, they've got X factor, they have it all. They've got a back row that's just tough and competitive. Van der Fleer's named European Player of the Year. They are very well drilled. Their props are mobile. They're ball players, and all under the guidance of Sexton as well. So, yeah, look, I don't know why people are writing them off. I certainly feel that they can win this tournament, and I would believe that they believe that as well. And again, at your peril, do you dismiss them as not being able to win a Rugby World Cup simply because history shows they haven't done it before?
Justin Marshall, 81 tests for the All Blacks. He's calling it all for SuperSport over at the Rugby World Cup. And just listening to you while you're saying that, I wish you were talking in those kind of terms about our team. Here was I saying, we're not going to mention the All Blacks, but I just don't know whether we're in the same breath as these guys at the moment. I want us to be, and hell, prove me wrong in the quarterfinal, lads, but at the same time, right now, these two teams appear to me to be better than us.
Yeah, well, look, again, we've got to look at what happened at Twickenham and what happened at the Stade de France, don't we? And that really much showed that we have some vulnerability. In saying that, I certainly saw enough in that opening game at times until we lost our mojo, and we all very well know what happened there, that we can compete. It's just about whether mentally this side can get there. But, I certainly feel that the All Blacks are a side that, should they discover that little bit of a missing DNA part of their game that is just off at the moment and really start to fire, then they can compete with South Africa and Ireland. They can compete with anyone in the world, but they've just got to get that right, and they're running out of time.
How much of that, before we move on to Wales, Australia, and then Argentina, Samoa, Scotland, Tonga, so as I said, some cracker games, how much of that, mate, having been there, is mental, is just confidence, is just this team gelling again and saying, come on, look at what we did in the first four games of this year. We've beaten this team. We know we can do this.
Yeah, a lot of it is. And again, I said Andy Farrell, he's just putting out his big guns each week. And I was not in favour of the All Blacks doing what they did. Yeah, and
you talked about it a lot, mate. Yeah,
exactly. And they did it. Damien McKenzie had a great game, and so did Cam Roigard, and others featured prominently as well. But at the end of the day, they will not be starting the quarterfinal. So what on earth was the point in giving them game time? Like I think I've banged this drum many times with you that those guys needed to be given a run off the bench. We've got enough depth. We've got enough players that are versatile. Should there be problems that can play multiple positions, that it wouldn't be a risk if they brought them on after 30 minutes or whatever. But what this team needs is they need to go to the well together. They need to get into really tough test matches, find their way out of trouble, which they haven't been able to do in recent games. When they're getting in trouble, they're not getting themselves out of it. So they need to galvanise. They need to play together. They need to know each other. And rotating the squad doesn't enable that. So, hey, look, it was a great performance. They run up a cricket score. But I just don't feel that it's what this All Black team to win this Rugby World Cup needed right now. That starting 15 that'll start in the quarterfinal needed to be out there playing, and they need to play next week and the week after as well.
Let's look at Wales, Ireland. Wales, Australia. Forgive me. This group is just fantastic to watch, isn't it? Especially with Fiji beating Australia, throwing that cat amongst the pigeons. And now the Oz face a must-win game against Wales. Wales, if they lose that game, well, then it's going to come all down to points differential and things. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, this is a tough nut to really sort of crack and think about who's got, I guess, the form to win this game. At times I thought Australia looked very, very ordinary, and Fiji, they are a side that, should you allow them to stay in the game, they'll do to you what they did to Australia, which is win unexpectedly. So you've got to wonder where Eddie Jones goes now. Who does he go for in the 10 jersey for a start off, and how does he get this side actually firing? Wales, they look pretty ordinary against Portugal. In fact, I thought the scoreboard flattered them big time. It was a cracking game. Let's face it, Portugal played really, really well. It took them down to that last minute to get a bonus point. So both of these sides, really, yes, you're right, both desperate to win. It's an important game for both of them. If they could get bonus points, that would really help as well. But I can't put my finger on exactly who's going to win. But I suspect if I was having to make a call, I think Wales might win.
What's George Gregan? I know that you've been hanging around with your old mate a little bit. What's he saying about this team and about Eddie Jones and how far they can go?
Well, he's a big fan of Eddie Jones, and he believes that he will still find a way somehow to do something, quite remarkable in this tournament. He said that it's just the way that Eddie operates, and he went back to type where he said, well, look when they were writing him off and asking him to get the sack for England, and all of a sudden, bang, they win a test match, a massive test match out of nowhere. He said this will be a real blow, but this will trigger something in Eddie for a massive response. And he said he still believes that Australia can get out of their pool. So he's feeling pretty confident, and he's got Eddie's ear. They chat a lot.
Okay. Well, knowing both of them, that's quite a lot of chat, Justin, with all due respect.
It certainly is. I'd love to be a fly on the wall when those conversations are happening. It'd be entertaining.
Not a lot of breathing, though.
No, this is right.
Let's then look at the Pacific Island nations of both Samoa and Tonga to start with. Samoa have a right royal chance here, man. I mean, we know what they did in 1991 and they got through to the quarterfinal. That game against Chile, I don't know what to read into that because to me, Chile and Romania especially are just so out of their depth at this tournament. But this is an Argentina side which, just didn't look at all cohesive against England. And Samoa if they can win this game, there's a quarterfinal offering for them.
Yeah, there is, and they've got some real firepower in that side. It's just about whether or not they're able to cope physically with that Argentinian side in the set piece. Scrum line out. They've got a big back row. I certainly feel that they can compete in the back line, and that they have the skill set as well. But it's just about whether or not the game allows them to play the style of rugby that would unsettle Argentina. You're absolutely right. They looked horrible. The worst game I've seen them play in a couple of years against England. They were all over the place. They fumbled the ball. They made poor decisions. So I'd imagine Michael Cheika's been doing a lot of, soul searching, but some probably pretty harsh words and some pretty heavy training for those Argentinian boys because they weren't themselves. So that might be a bit of an Achilles heel for Samoa because, he is, again, a very astute coach, and I just feel that he would have been working away to get a response out of Argentina, and that they might feel the brunt of it, Samoa. But hey, look, I love watching them play, and if they unsettle them and rattle them, Samoa that is, and get them into the same mindset that they were in their opening game against England, then hey, anything can happen.
Finally then, Tonga and Scotland, and it's a weird World Cup for some teams, isn't it? I mean, here we are with the All Blacks at the moment, and we're just kind of pressing pause. We're in a lull, we get a week off, and it's just you kind of feel like you're treading water. Scotland played that opener against South Africa, 18-3. They didn't play well at all, and then they have a week off, and now they've got a Tongan side that got smacked up by Ireland. I expected a lot from Scotland going into this tournament, so they've got to make a statement now, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and I was expecting a lot more out of them as well, but they just got flustered by South Africa. They had aggressive line speed. They did a number on Finn Russell. He couldn't operate, and the team just was dysfunctional. And I guess it shows the rest of the world if you shut a key man down and nobody else puts their hand up, then the team itself capitulates. And that's what happened in their opening game. Tonga probably were the biggest disappointment of the weekend. I expected a lot more of them, but they were pretty well dominated, and they didn't really fire too many shots, and given the caliber of player that they've got on that side, it was a bit of a worry that they weren't able to produce the rugby that they should for the individuals that are in that side in particular. So yeah, this is a fascinating one. I don't think Kefu will be very happy about the way Tonga played, and equally, like you say, I don't think Scotland will be happy about their first game either. So this could be a real niggly, fiery clash, which would be entertaining, wouldn't it?
Just on the entertainment side of life, you enjoying France, mate? I know that you've spent a fair bit of time there and that. I mean, does it get better every time you go?
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Like, we're still just on sort of the back end of summer, basically, here. The weather's still good. Yes, we've moved into autumn, but still getting 27, 28, 30-degree days. Beautiful sunsets, and I haven't had anything more than just a T-shirt on, so the weather's been fantastic. You're sitting outside, you're dining. That's their lifestyle. That's what it's all about. They love their eating, they love their food, and obviously their wine, and they're in their happy place. And I'm quite happy to sit alongside them in that happy place, Devs, believe me.
And just in terms of finding, just because people always think, the French are a bit up themselves and things like that, and they're hard to get along with and things. I've always found them really friendly, as long as you're not English, as long as you let them know you're from Nouvelle-Zélande or where. Do you find the same?
Yeah, I do. No, they've been very friendly, super accommodating. Every city you go to, there are basically people stacked outside the train stations or the airports or whatever, all dressed up in Rugby World Cup polos, speak great English. They get, helping you get on trams and trains or finding the place, your hotel, all that. They've just been very, very welcoming to everybody. And yeah, the general public, they are very, very nice people. Most of them do make an effort with English, and You know, they're just. I think they're doing a brilliant job of hosting this tournament. It's only going to get better from here.